So welcome to this presentation on autonomous multi-cloud serverless deployment and optimization management by the Melodic platform, which is an open source middleware that allows you to deploy your application multi-cloud. And this is done by Marta and myself. So the idea behind Melodic is that we have the need to deploy an application in a multi-cloud setting and often also cross-cloud, so that we are using many clouds at the same time, including, for instance, a private cloud and a public cloud from a public cloud provider. Now, this application is then monitored during runtime, and if it needs to be changed and the configuration and the resources offered to the application needs to be changed, then Melodic will automatically reconfigure the application. And the good thing about Melodic is that it supports cross-cloud. So as I said, many cloud providers at the same time for the application. And it is fully open source based on open source frameworks. So why did we start the Melodic project and develop this platform? Well, the first is that there is a problem using multiple cloud providers, and it is an even larger problem using multiple cloud providers at the same time. So we wanted to have one single interface to all these cloud providers. We also wanted to have a unified way to deploy different application components, such as virtual machines, containers, and serverless functions, and all of this respecting the data constraints and the data that the application is operating upon. And the last part is especially important, for instance, now in Europe, where you have GDPR controlling where you can store and operate on data. We also wanted to have autonomic deployment because changes might be needed to the resources of your application at times when you are not available and where you would like your application to stay responsive to the application users, even if there is no person that is able to deploy the application on your behalf 24/7. So that means we need to have some kind of an automatic optimization of the cloud resources that are used by your application. So Melodic is able to scale out the resources when needed and scale in again when it's no longer needed. So what are the key features of Melodic? Well, as I said, it's autonomic deployment, and that is the sort of the key thing here, that Melodic takes care of your application. It acts on your behalf for the application. And it does so in order to maximize the utility of the application seen from your point as the application owner. So it's based on the application characteristics and the measurement of the real application, and then it tries to reconfigure to the best possible way. It supports big data frameworks like Hadoop and Spark, and it does so in respect of the data constraints that you have. So if data cannot be moved, or if data has to be on a local server, then Melodic will deploy the computational components to where the data is and not the other way around. And finally, it is also secure. So it supports a single secure authentication of the application user and ensures that only these authorized users can deploy your application to the cloud. And it's built to be enterprise ready. By that we mean it should be highly available, and Melodic itself is scalable so that you can ask it to deploy complicated applications or simple applications.
CAMEL is Cloud Application Modeling and Execution language, and it is used to model an application. It is a domain-specific and cloud provider-agnostic language based on Eclipse modeling framework and similar to Tosca. It covers all aspects of application modeling. It's possible to model in CAMEL the application components, connections between them, security aspects. It supports various types of application components: script-based, Spark components, Docker containers, and serverless components. It allows also for complex infrastructure requirements modeling, and what is probably the most important and unique, it allows for modeling of user preferences, utility function, and constraints. It makes the optimization process in Melodic possible. What is more, it supports models at runtime modeling. It is used to express the application state during the runtime. In other words, it supports the description of application state before it starts to be deployed, during optimization, and when the application is running. CAMEL is built from modules. It currently contains many modules, and it will have more because they are work in progress on extensions. What is important to notice is the fact that these modules can be reused in more than one CAMEL application model. For example, in the Melodic, we have some predefined metric models that are reused in many application models. How does the Melodic work? Firstly, user needs to create a CAMEL model for his application and set up initial parameters for the application. After that, Melodic starts the work. It downloads the offers from all cloud providers that user has access. It calculates the best cloud environment for application and deploys it automatically. The reasoning part is done by solving a constraint optimization problem, maximizing the utility function automatically generated from the CAMEL model. To solve the constraint problems, Melodic uses various solvers, among others, a stochastic learning automata solver based on reinforcement learning and Monte Carlo tree search solver. Currently, Melodic supports deployment on big cloud providers like AWS, GCP, or Azure, and also OpenStack. When the application is ready and working, Melodic starts collecting defined by the user metrics about currently running configuration. If the better solution appears or actual solution becomes unacceptable because one of the constraints, the reconfiguration is triggered. Melodic continues basically looking for better solution for deployment and makes the reconfiguration if newly found solution is significantly better than the current one. It means that it can move application components to another cloud provider, to another virtual machine, adds more instances, or whatever Melodic establishes the best deployment. Therefore, during the application execution, Melodic manages to always have the most optimal environment.
So what is the best deployment when it comes to Melodic? Well, what we do is we are first going to collect metrics of the running application, which means that these metric values are representing the current configuration of the application and the current context. So how many users the application has, for instance, can be one of these metric values. Or the time it takes to produce a result can be another metric value. And this provides for a very flexible way to calculate the utility for this particular context. So for this particular number of users, for instance, what will then be the best utility for you as the owner of the application. This means that the focus will be on the business value rather than on the technicalities of collecting the metric values and making the right decision for this particular context. And of course, in all optimization, there might be trade-offs between cost performance and this kind of availability issues, whatever you represent in the utility. And Melodic aims to do that automatically for you. So if you have formulated a good utility balancing these different concerns, then Melodic will make sure that this is the best possible deployment based on your utility. So let's look at an example. For instance, say that you have an image recognition application where the actual image recognizer function or classifier is a function that you deploy to a serverless platform. So the first Melodic will do in this case is to deploy the actual recognizer function, which is the classifier, and then once up running, it will start processing images coming in and produce classified images as output. And this is a function which will be automatically scaled by the platform if the load becomes more than what can be handled consequently by the classifier function. Now, if you have an image which is not recognized, then you will need retraining of the classifier. So in this case, you will deploy, for instance, a big data framework like Spark, and you will give Spark one worker to work on retraining the classifier. Then you will, of course, estimate the time it takes for processing some data sets, and you will see if this will allow you to timely train the classifier for your application needs. If this is not the case, well, then you will give more workers to the Spark training, and these workers will then automatically be taken into consideration by Spark, and the estimated time should go down. Once you are happy with the estimated time, then you can simply wait for the new classifier and eventually deploy this classifier as needed. So this means that the right-hand side here is the autonomic retraining and configuration, the application management done by the Melodic platform on your behalf. And it makes sure that it's all deployed when needed and all undeployed when no longer needed.
The workflow with Melodic is very simple. You as a user need to model your application in CAMEL, deploy the Melodic platform. Then you just need to submit your CAMEL model to your Melodic instance, push the big green button to start the deployment of the application, and observe. Thanks to Melodic UI, you will be able to see the reasoning process of Melodic, but you are not expected to do anything more. You can connect, relax, and enjoy your application working. It is very important to mention that Melodic is enterprise ready and it is used by some companies. You also can download and try Melodic, and we encourage you to do that. Melodic itself is released under MPL 2.0 license. Currently, the third release of Melodic is ready. The project is being further developed and it is hosted on OW2 repository. We also encourage for your contribution to the project.
So thank you for your attention, and we hope that you will now try out Melodic, download it, and if you have any problems or questions, please feel free to contact us. We are here to help you. So thank you.